So AMD recently reported earnings and they were amazing. Intel also, but those weren't that great. But we still have one more giant, Nvidia, that is expected to report earnings later this month. And before we have earnings, I do want to share some great news for the company. So if you are excited about Nvidia or are a shareholder, this video is for you. We're also going to take a closer look at some other kind of semiconductor news affecting AMD and Intel. So make sure to stay tuned. If this is your first time here, make sure to hit the thumbs up. Make sure to hit the subscribe button, check out the pinned comment for free Discord, free newsletter, and a lot of great investing links. So let's get started. So right now I want to say it has been a crazy 5 days in the market. At least these past 5 days have been highly volatile. We can see Nvidia right now is up 1%, but when it opened up today, I believe it was down over 3% compared to closing yesterday. And if we take a quick look at the past 5 days, the high and the low of the week is about a 10% shift. That, in my opinion, is insane and shows how much volatility is happening in the market. And this is why I want to say I'm happy to be a long-term investor, because I get to ignore this noise, right? Unfortunately, it sucks opening up the portfolio sometimes and seeing stock prices down so much, but I got to remember and remind myself that, hey, I'm here for the long term of things. In the next 3 to 5 years, I am going to be happy that I picked up semiconductor stocks at this level, and that's what I'm doing, right? I want to say in the past few weeks I have been really increasing my overall exposure in the semiconductor market, and this volatility is nowhere near gonna make me sell. I'm holding on for the long term of things. But let's kind of take a closer look at Nvidia, and like I mentioned later, we're also going to take a quick look at AMD news and some Intel news at the moment. But first, Nvidia is expected to announce their first quarter fiscal year of 2023 results on May 25th, which is Wednesday after the market closes. And this is going to be for the quarter that ended April 30th of 2022. So we still got about 3 weeks or so before the earnings come out. Make sure to stay tuned to this kind of channel, because I will do earnings video for Nvidia. And I want to say one thing that's really kind of a big fear in the semiconductor market right now is kind of seeing the decline in consumer spending. Even though AMD did kind of showcase their earnings, they showed a growth in their kind of consumer segment. The biggest market that they saw the biggest growth in was in enterprise and data centers, but they're still kind of seeing growth in consumer, at least for now. That kind of fear has kind of trickled down to kind of Nvidia as well, with Nvidia providing a nice amount of graphics cards to the gaming community, which is obviously a consumer market. And another thing that we're seeing are GPU prices declining, again, adding even more fear to Nvidia's stock in general. But we can see this article, Newegg bestsellers are dominated by Nvidia GPUs as prices stabilized. And I kind of wanted to take a closer look firsthand, so I came here to Newegg and decided to take a quick look at the bestsellers. I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and keep listening for this great offer we have for the community. The Motley Fool is a company that provides investing insight and stock recommendations for investors of all skill sets and risk levels. You all know how much I love researching new stocks and trying to find the next best investments. So I'm proud to partner with the Motley Fool to bring you a discount for one of my favorite services the Fool offers, the Motley Fool Stock Advisor. Go to fool.com/Jose to sign up and get access to a ton of expert stock picks. Every month you'll get 2 new picks that are aimed at growing your wealth and to help you realize your financial goals. Stock Advisor has been a market-beating service, so what are you waiting for? Thanks again for the Motley Fool. Now on to today's points. The number 1 to the number 13th graphics cards in the top sellers for Newegg are all Nvidia graphics cards. Number 14 is a lonely AMD, but then after that, from number 15 all the way to, I want to say, even number 25 are all Nvidia graphics cards as well. I'm gonna guess even up to 30. Yep, even up to number 30, they are all Nvidia graphics cards. So this is a company that's still dominating the consumer market. And some of you guys, if you're looking closely at these kind of sales, you might see that, hey, some of these prices are down a lot, saved 17% for this kind of 3070 Ti. And I do believe this is kind of bringing some fear to kind of Nvidia holders, in my opinion. But let me say, even with this kind of decrease in price, they are still higher than MSRP. So that's kind of something to understand. Another thing to understand is the graphics cards. They are expected to get a new kind of refresh on their new products NVIDIA should be releasing their new generation either later this year or at the beginning of next year. So when you're this close to the end of a tech cycle, you expect prices to be below MSRP. At the moment, they're not, which I think bodes well for NVIDIA. Again, I'm a shareholder of both NVIDIA and AMD. I'm not trying to throw any shade in AMD. AMD is a beast, but I think right now where AMD is dominating is the server processor. At the moment, that's not a place NVIDIA is currently in. Eventually will be with the CPU grace, but AMD a beast here. Unfortunately, not a beast in the GPU market compared to NVIDIA at the moment. We can see AMD right now is up about 2.8%. It is below that $100 level. I personally enjoy it at this stock price. Like I mentioned, AMD reported strong earnings. I did an earnings review, so make sure to check that video out if you want more in-depth on it. But I want to say my favorite thing about earnings is each of their businesses grew by significant double digits percentage year over year. But this is my favorite part. They were led by EPYC server processors revenue more than doubling for the third straight quarter. Again, their processors are beast and there's no denying it. AMD continues to be a powerhouse. Most recently on May 5th, after kind of earnings were released, AMD also released new kind of processors for the Chromebook laptop, and there are reports that they are pretty beast with the amount of cores they are providing. So that's great news. Again, more of a consumer product, but still great to see AMD expanding that market. Another thing that I didn't mention during the earnings video is in the earnings call, AMD mentioned that they are planning to kind of integrate their Silent acquisition technology with their CPU products. That is great, and they are expecting to have some of those first products in 2023, so that's next year. If we finally take another look at AMD before we take a closer look at Intel, I know how much you guys like Intel. There is an upcoming financial analyst day on June 9th of 2022. I would recommend all AMD holders to watch this because this is going to be a presentation where they showcase how they're going to really integrate Xilinx with AMD and also the upcoming acquisition of Pensando. So make sure to stay tuned. If not, make sure to just subscribe to the channel because I will be doing a video on it. Finally, the last company we're going to take a quick look at is Intel. And right now, this is a stock price that barely moves, just like its revenue. It's up about 0.2% at the moment. There are rumors that Intel is expected to release their discrete graphics cards in a few months. And they're going to start off with like the lower tier levels, which have very great entry price points. The reports are saying that they might come in as soon as late May or early June. I don't have too much hope on Intel's graphics cards at the moment, right? But if they continue to kind of innovate, I do believe eventually they might kind of put at least some kind of pressure on AMD or Nvidia. But let me just say, this first generation, I don't think is going to be it. And if it is, that will actually be very impressive. Intel also recently announced that they are acquiring a company called Zero Innovations, and this is going to be under their Intel graphics. This is just going to overall help them kind of improve their technology in the graphics market. I believe for Intel to really kind of become some form of heavy player in this graphics market, they're either going to have to acquire strong talent or acquire companies focusing in that market, and that's what they're doing. Again, it takes time to develop and innovate, but it seems like they're going in the right direction. The final thing I want to mention is Intel CEO Pat Gelsinger mentioned that he believes this chip shortage will last until 2024. And it's not because of the chip companies, it's actually because of an equipment shortage at the moment. Companies like ASML are unable to make all the demands of all the equipments that they need to provide for their consumers. And at the end, that's going to bottleneck the overall chip production. So it does seem like it still is a great time to invest in semiconductors. But even if there wasn't no shortage, I think I would still be investing in semis because they have a huge market right now with enterprise, with automotive, with IoT, and obviously consumer, which is slowing down, but eventually that would kick back up. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Take care, have a good day, and see you next time.